Welcome back. Everyone knows African Americans use technology in a variety of ways, but studies show that we're still on the wrong side of the digital divide. How much of this, though, is truth? A panel of experts gives us the answer. Joining me to have this discussion are Cheryl Huggins-Solomon at TheRoot.com, Stephanie Humphrey, tech life expert and contributor to TheGrio.com and YourBlackWorld.com, and of course, our own Patricia Cesare, Director of Digital PR and Marketing for Black Enterprise. Thank you all for being here. The question I've been wanting to know is, people keep saying the African American community doesn't access technology, that we're not full participants in this whole thing. But everybody I know has a cell phone. Everybody knows on the internet. Everybody I know is texting. What's going on here?
Well, everybody is texting because it's easy to get a prepaid phone from Cricket and talk to your friends, but it's the quality of engagement that I think is changing, and that's where we are lacking as a community. We're not engaging in a more quality way.
Trish, what would high quality engagement be?
Well, you know, SMS campaigns are huge in the corporate world.
SMS,
right?
For my benefit, is texting.
Absolutely,
okay,
yes.
Cool.
But in terms of high level or high quality engagement, you know, if you're able to access the broadband internet, then you're in a place where you can effectively research. You can share and send information across a number of different delivery platforms effectively. And I think that's where we see a limitation in the African American community.
And people know the difference. Pew did a study and they showed that when African Americans do have access to broadband, then they actually index higher for looking for information about jobs, absolutely, about housing, about healthcare, and about church, of course. Okay. So when that access is there, we use it in the ways, this high quality engagement that you're talking about, but we don't have as much access, and that's the problem.
I'm glad you mentioned this point of access because much talk has been made about this digital divide. What exactly is a digital divide?
Well, it's the gap between technology education, technology access, broadband internet access being a huge part of that, and just overall technology knowledge between white Americans and Black and Latino Americans.
But the gap in the United States is real.
The gap is very real, yeah. 50% of African Americans have broadband access right now. 65% of white Americans have it, but when you start talking about lower income communities, underserved communities, that 50% number drops dramatically, almost by half.
What are some things we can do to close that gap between those who have and those who don't?
I think looking at where we are, so there is a high level of engagement on smartphones for African Americans, and I think that's where we need to take a look at the resources that are available to really grow a business or compete effectively from a career standpoint with your actual smartphone. And there are a
smartphones like Blackberries, iPhones.
Blackberry, your iPhone, your Android, really want one of those. Those are the ways in which you can, in terms of technology, start to take a look at where the value is in those outside of tweeting and liking, you know, if you're looking at Facebook. So there, if you have a small business, you can essentially run your business from your smartphone. It's an ability that we have. I think it's just accessing the information to leverage it is where we're limited as well.
One of the places that I know Black people are accessing is social media. We are overrepresented on social media according to every study I've ever seen. I mean, if we don't do anything else, Black people are tweeting and Facebooking and doing all that other stuff, right?
Absolutely. 25% of people on Twitter are African American, when we only make up 12% of the population.
If you look at the communication patterns of African Americans on Twitter, they're highly unique. If you look at the trending topics on Twitter, more than likely you're going to find that there are a lot of cultural significance to what people find worthy of engaging around in terms of issues. So a lot of the most popular trending topics on Twitter are those created by African Americans. Usually they're under the age of 35, and it speaks to sort of a code word or code culture in which they've sort of developed around their own communication. So it's fun, it's definitely something that requires folks to want to be engaged in a viral capacity, and I think that's what makes Twitter so effective for African Americans.
So you made that sound so smart. I just like to talk about the fight.
Well, I think we are communicating on Twitter the same way we communicate in our communities. We're just doing it on a much broader scale. I mean,
however, look at the trending topic that happened around Troy Davis, leading up to his execution.
Absolutely.
We also use it for good. We use it to organize. If you look at Occupy Wall Street, I mean, there are definitely issues that we rally around, and we do use Twitter.
Now, is there a generation piece to this too? Because I've also heard that young people use Facebook, older people use Twitter. Is that fairly accurate?
Well, I know my mom's on Twitter and Facebook, and the last data I've seen says that you've gotten a 60% jump in boomers who engage in social media. It was 20% last year, it's 32% now. So everybody's involved pretty much in social media these days.
I'm glad you made this point because one of the concerns people had about digital media is that while it may get people engaged, it doesn't get them out of their house. You know, many old school folk will say that, yeah, this digital technology is great, people don't talk to each other anymore. They don't connect anymore. Does our community become fragmented because of this stuff?
If anything, I think it makes us more collaborative. I think that it allows us to all centralize in an area where we may not be able to connect face to face, but we can all chime in or discuss issues that are relevant, or discuss, trending topics that are relevant. And I think that makes for a more collaborative, dynamic space. So it's different, but I don't know that it's not as efficient or better.
Yeah, it is social media after all, so I think we are still engaging, especially with the changes that are happening with Facebook and Google+, where you have that group chat situation, so you can actually be looking at someone face to face and engaging them in a way that you would normally if you were sitting next to them, in a room. So I think it's just different, but the same.
But do we lose anything when we do that? I mean, part of me feels like there's something different about having this conversation where I can see you all and reach out to you all, than if we were having it over Skype or if we were having it over a Google chat. I mean, do we lose anything by not having the physical contact with people?
Well, we lose, but we also gain. There is no substitute for engaging people face to face.
So 5 years from now, if the digital gap is sufficiently closed and we do all the work we're supposed to do through investment, through infrastructure, through education, how is the Black community using technology?
I think we've capitalized in some way on the mobile marketing potential of smartphone usage, and we're able to create businesses and real dynamic strategies across the political landscape and beyond with respects to our smartphones. Since we already have them, I think it's a great way to leverage them in a way that we can actually measure in terms of results across a number of different areas.
And there was a study recently at the University of Michigan, a professor estimated that in 5 years, every child K through 12 will have a mobile handheld device. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, but it's probably going to be close. So I think we will see smartphones and apps used more in learning as well, and just engaging kids in a way that you can't get in a classroom, basically.
Well, I hope we're not just using technology. I hope we're creating technology. We've got to get to the top of this divide, close it up, and then we have to also become part of the innovators as well.
Cheryl Huggins-Solomon, Stephanie Humphrey, Patricia Cesare, thank you all so much for being here. Stay right there, we'll be right back. Up next, a man who's helping to keep the pulse of Black culture beating.
History can help to navigate some of what happened in the past, to give people a deeper sense that they're not dealing with these problems for the first time.